Few minutes, month of Tevis, we're learning. Sponsored by the Silver family, memory of Bas Yefega Bas Yisrael, by Chaya Flank, Leilui Nishmas Pinchas Menachem Ben Avram David. When's the Yotzitz now? No, Yotzitz in June.
No, that's nice.
Okay, it's very sweet. By the Polsteins, Leilui Nishmas Filisema Bas Yitzchak, and by the Reinitzes, in honor of the Reinitzes' birthdays in Tevis, Liora, Gilad, and Yudi. The week is sponsored by Daniela and Yoni Berg, in honor of their eldest daughter's bat mitzvah, Sarah Esther, as a Yofi. Sponsored by our dear friend Miriam Futterman, in honor of Nachman Yerachmiel ben Yehuda Leib and Golda Futterman upon his third yortzeit. And by the Ganchers for the refuah shlema to their abbas, Avram Alon ben Deborah Batya and Chaim Shlomo ben Kela. Okay, brothers, we're about to wrap up this sefer. We're wrapping up this sefer. It's very, very special. We're in the second to last chapter. If you open up again to Daf Kuf Zayin, we're on the Midah of Yesod. The Midah of Yesod. If everyone has sefers today, right? Everyone has farm? Yeah? Okay. Huh? We're on this Daf Kuf Zayin. I'm gonna fastly recap the last thing that we learned, which was already 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was before Hanukkah, where Rav Ginsburg is telling us now that we reached the Midah of Yesod in Tikkun Medina, and now the dream is starting to come into fruition. We were explaining that when we were discussing the fixing of this Medina, the fixing of the whole situation here, we spent a lot of time pointing out all the things that were wrong, and having the need to fix things that needed a tikkun on that side. However, once we've gone through all those things, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, and Hod, now we could start to speak about actually the just like everything coming together and the beauty of things, and not just pointing out things that are wrong. And as he says in the bottom of Kuf Zayin, Chalomo ha'pnimi biyoter shel kol Yehudi. What do we really dream? What's our dream to do down here in this world? Lasot dira l'Hashem yitbarach b'zeh olam mamish. We want to make a dwelling place for Hashem here in this world. What does that mean? Pirush hadavar hu legalot et metziuto shel Hashem b'chol gvanei ha'chaim. We want to see Hashem in everything. We want to discover and reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Elokut in absolutely everything. Specifically, be'ikar betoch ha'yesodot ha'rayonim v'tarbutiyim aleim hem nishanim. We want to see the Rebbeinu Shalom through all the ideas that come through culture, that come through life, that come through even art and sports and everything. Specifically, what he's going to be speaking about is Mada, Torah Umada, the sciences. Therefore, in order for that to happen, l'shem kach zivug chochmas haTorah, ima chochma klalis, emerging between the wisdom of the Torah and what we call chochma klalis, that means the sciences and the chochmas of the world, ushlav machriya is a crucial place, a crucial stage, baderech la'atido ha'meshichi shel ha'olam, for the future of Mashiach in this world. It's funny, like you could say to some people, what do you think it'll look like when Mashiach comes? And some people will actually say, Mashiach comes, there won't be anything but sitting and learning Torah. But that's actually not, what about gardening? What about theater? What about art? What about sports? What about, you name it. The problem we have today is that we don't really have a way to merge these two worlds in a way that blends and that shtims. That's really a good time to use this word. In a way that it shtims in a peaceful manner that makes you feel this is a hidgalut elokit. This is a godly revelation in the world. That's the tension that we have. And it's not stam like this. Now you do have like these messianic characters that saw that this is an important nekuda that has to be in order to bring Mashiach into the world. That you have to look at the world of the arts and you have to say, there's Ribbon Shalom here, we just have to draw it out. Who would be a great example of someone in the last century that really saw that? Rav Kook, very big on that. And he got smashed for it, he got trampled over it, did he get shechted for that, because he's one of the, I think it's one of the only recordings that exists of his voice, is that his speech at the inauguration of Givat Ram, of the Hebrew University's Hanachat Even Pinah, the cornerstone, and Rav Kook is giving Rav Kook is speaking there. So you have big Mashiach cups that they're like, it can't be that the Ribbon Shalom created such chokhmas in the world, and for it to not be something that can be found, that Hashem can be found in there. Now this is really rooted deeply in Tanya. There are certain things that it's shalosh klipos hatmeos legamre. There are the three lower klipos that are completely tummy, that for there, in that world, there's nothing to be lifted up from there. But we're speaking obviously in the world of all these different varieties, all these different options that we have, where you could really find the Ribbon Shleilim in things that you would say, it doesn't really look at it. Like, I'll give you an example. Like last night, when I was by Tom's bed, I was just looking. I spent the whole time looking at his left hand. I was on the side of the bed, looking at his hand. I'm thinking, how much art went through these fingers, through this grip, whether it was music, whether it was using a hammer, using nails, drills, just even using his actual hands. Like, so do I look at that and I just say, wow, that's an interesting chokhmah, but it has nothing to do with Hashem? Or do I say, wait a second, when a guy's conscious that the only reason he has this koch is because Hashem put it into him, and that's how he's doing what he's doing in this world, you're elevating the whole story. That's an easier thing to do. It gets tricky when it comes to chokhmas hamada, science. That's when people start to have a harder time, because they're trying to understand, how do these two wisdoms merge? I don't see the chokhmah of the Mada in the chokhmah of the Torah necessarily. Now, frankly, I think that a lot of people that have tried to show the merger between the two, they do it from a very chitzoni place, from an outside place. They're not doing it through pnimius, thus leaving people with thinking that it really is two separate entities, and somehow, somewhere they meet together, the chokhmas of the Mada and the chokhmah of the Torah. But Rav Ginsburg is a scientist, he's a mathematician. His whole world is built within the framework of these worlds of Chokhmah, and he's constantly working on showing the merger and how it really does shtim, and it's all one. Now, this is not a new problem that we're having right now. This has been a problem for a long, long time. As you see the next page, Me'az Idan HaRenaissance, since the Renaissance, No'eg ha'olam le'achlif arachim datim be'archei hamada. The world exchanges religious values with scientific values. There's an exchange there. Now, why do you think that is, by the way, before we see how he explains it? Why do you think it is that every time someone comes with some kind of like deep value system that's shown through the world of sciences, they're basically saying, I should probably exchange this for, instead of all the religious values that don't really, I have to just, use emunah for it. It's much easier for me to shtim with values that come from the erachim of Mada. Yeah, Ali?
Because there's been no bridge made, so therefore they think it's this or that. There's a universal theme.
So why do they choose that? I agree.
That provides a more grounded experience.
Lichora, yeah.
Lichora, that's what they think.
Right, lichora.
Whereas esoteric is seemingly invisible. So from that they...
It's true. It's true. I've met so many...
They don't see the proof, and when they see the esoteric, they see some abusive rabbi, for example.
Right. They remember, wait a second, a guy that looks like this, right? As if all the professors, right? There, mamish, everyone. No professor ever had an illicit relationship with any of his students or anything like that.
Wouldn't science be the fingerprint of Hashem?
It should. Of course it should be. That our job is, though, exactly to show the merger, to show the bridge between the two. But what Eli is saying is so accurate, is that bridge has not been shown in a clear way. And when I have to make a decision between, hey, wait a second, I'm a rational person, what's what am I buying? I'd rather feel like I'm healthy and responsible and grounded, so I'll choose to ground myself in something that can be proven. That's a human instinct. There's nothing puzzle in that ratzon. You understand? There's nothing puzzle in that ratzon, because humanly speaking, we all want to feel grounded, very much so. The whole chapto is to show that there's no stira between the two. That's the avodah of yesod, he's saying, because when a person has that foundation, that there's a merger between these two worlds, then that person is truly grounded in emes la'amito. Second line. Now he's going to get, interestingly, mamash kabbalistic. Hashem shlach ezra lekol chayalenu should bomb the daylights out of all these oivim that still have the chutzpah to wake up in the morning. השקפותיו ודעותיו של מדען מכובד, the hashkafa and the opinions of a very honorable scientist, לממשל, יהיו בעלוס משקל בעיני האדם המשכיל גם מחוץ לתחום התמחותו. You will actually, a person, let's say a scientist, has a certain chap on something in the world of science, right? And because he's very respected, his opinions on other matters suddenly also become very respected too. Not even in the area of his expertise, but suddenly things that he's saying that have nothing to do with his world of expertise, but because he's a madan mechubad, since he's a very mechubadik scientist, he must know exactly what he's talking about everywhere. So therefore, also in the world of outside of his realm, we're going to listen to him. We see this all the time. You following? No, it's not convincing.
Influence.
What does Roger Waters have to do with that?
What kesher?
What shaykhs does he have?
So-called experts.
Right. What are you talking about? Like, not just that. Why are we actually listening to you as the shaila, right? Like, ma kesher. So that happens all the time in music. I mean, listen, kol hakavod. I remember one time, the first time I went to go see Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. It was in Jones Beach in New York. And I was visiting, it was Zevi Stender's wedding the night after, and I was in New York and I went the night before. And I'm like, wow, this is so great. I get there and they still think it's like 1974 and they're singing all these let's impeach the president for lying songs or looking for a leader. And finally some chaver started chucking tomatoes at the stage, like, guys, E minor, like meaning just play what you're playing. No one here came here because of your groise chochmas and opinions about world politics. Stick to what you're good in. Now, that's easier to like call out the sheker with that. It gets complicated though that when I put my faith and trust in scientific theories and people, I don't put my faith and trust in musicians, I just appreciate their talent. But when it comes to chaver that are coming from the world of science and their chochmas, I suddenly have such cover for them, and then when they start saying anything else outside the realm of what they know, what they actually are holding, that's when it gets very complicated. Yeah.
Same thing happens with rabbis. Same thing happens with rabbis.
Yeah.
How?
When they start talking about other things that they don't know about, people take everything for
Like what?
Like a COVID vaccine.
a vaccine. Yeah.
Ah.
Like science.
Yeah. I don't know. This is working on both.
Say crazy things.
This is working on both sides, 100%. We're talking about, and he's going to explain why this is like this. Like why does it go from here to there? Now, in the world of, just because I'm coming off of the Shirius there at the Kola, right now we're learning the life of Reb Simcha Bunim Abshizcha. Reb Simcha Bunim Abshizcha was a pharmacist. He also managed the lumber business. The Ish Kodesh, the Piasetzner Rebbe, used to write out prescriptions. You know that? Medical prescriptions that that pharmacies would actually adhere to. So you do have dugmaot, you have examples of people that have bekiyas in Olam HaChochma, but when those people actually have bekiyas in Olam HaChochma of the Mada, they don't push their trip. That's how you know a little bit who you're dealing with. If they come and are asked a shaila, and they actually know something, and they share with you, without going on campaigns and pushing their trips, I would be more open to hearing what they have to say. But when it becomes a thing that they're the ones that are leading the flags, bless you, in areas that is not there what's called tchum ha'itmachut, whoa boy, you gotta simmer down. You gotta simmer down. Yeah.
This whole push by the so-called influencers in the Jewish world, they need to put them down, but it just doesn't feel right with me. They're pushing psychedelics and all kinds of new science before they've really become Bakian. It's almost like they're opportunists. I'm sorry to say, and if anyone knows who I'm referring to, I apologize publicly, but it makes me very uncomfortable. And I think it's a big uprise.
I totally hear you. Now I don't want to go in this direction. That's a whole few months of shurim we have to have on this, because we're nowhere near close the hitmachut, which means the
Specialization.
right, like meaning This is some new thing that it's relatively, in the circles that we live in, is now, because you have people that have beards that are saying some nice things about it, everyone feels like it's kosher l'mahadrin. I'm speaking to those people that are actually like running certain stuff like that, and they're starting to get really worried, saying, wait a second, something here is not adding up. This is taken completely out of proportion, because it's way too fast, and I agree with you 1,000,000%, Eli. 1,000,000%. It's too early in the game for anybody to have hitmachut. Not specialization, it means like a mumche. It means like a
There's also
Bekias.
outside forces with that thing that people are not aware of. Yeah.
Bekias, like there's no, we're way too early. It's like this with everything. It's like this with so many different things. The Indian of Mashiach is that there's a merger and a blend of both that don't show any steers between the two. But in order to be able to be someone that's holding over here in Yesod, your Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, and Hod better be very clear.
Why is it across the board that the guy that is a mumcha in Hashem's science that he provided to the world almost universally is to the left?
He's gonna. Did you read ahead?
No.
Yossi? Sharp. Very sharp. Gamba Zira, this is like exactly what he's addressing right now. This is amazing. He's going to explain this Kabbalistically. Why is it? Exactly your question. Third line. Gamba Zira politically, anu mezahim et hashpaotea shel hayokra hamada'it. We identify the influence of the preciousness of the sciences derech hamishkal harav hamufal al da'at hakahal מעצם העובדה שרוב זוכי פרסי הנובל נוטים שמאלה. Okay, what did he just say over here? Who understands this? Why is it in the political arena you have exactly what Yossi just said? That you see most of them actually identify with the left. Most of those that are winners of the Nobel Prize, you see like their Indian is more attracted to the left. It's true. Listen, I mean, we live in such an olam hasheker that Rabin and Peres, together with Yimach Shemo Arafat, got a Nobel Peace Prize. You understand that? And so did President Hussein in America. It's insane. How could it be that these people are the ones that are, the chachamim, right? But he's not even saying the political leaders. We're even speaking also about those that are also in the world of sciences that will be notez smola. How come it's like this? So he explains. If you're holding in Kabbalah, you won't be shocked. Why? Ki chochmas hamada ha'olami, the wisdom of worldly science, hi nekavit b'mahuta, in its essence is drawing more to the female, to feminine. Biyachas lechochma ha'torah hascharit, in comparison to the chokhmah of the more male energy Torah, v'hanikvius kula bnuya yoter al tzad asmol shel hamitzius. The feminine, in all its detail, is built more upon the left side of reality. He's saying, don't get confused. This is how the world of Kabbalah, the spheres, work. And we have to have Bekias in Kabbalah to understand what he just said right now. But what he's saying over here again, Chochmas HaTorah, Chochmas HaMada. In the world of Kabbalah, what is Chochmas HaTorah more aligned with? Right, Zachar. Chochmas HaMada is more aligned with left, Nekeva. Nikvius. Huh?
Is that Bida?
So, if you really want to do this, just for a second, go to page Tzadik Hey, because the map is right there. You see the map?
Yeah.
So you see Yamin,
Yeah.
Chochma, small Bina, Yamin Chesed, small Gvura, Yamin Netzach, small Hod. Now in our world, what we're trying to do is we have to do tikkunim in all of these areas. You understand? The left is not. We're not speaking here. The left is a thing you have to get rid of. No, the left side of how we function needs a tikkun, just like the right side needs a tikkun. We're trying to fix everything on this side, but in terms of what we're generally attracted to, when you're not doing it out pnimius, you will be drawn more to the left side of things, which is the nekeva.
Still the half of Torah. That's still the half emes of Torah.
1,000,000%.
That has a real point of view, just like the right.
Well, not if you don't bring Hashem into the picture. Chochmas ha'olam, chochmas hamada, without bringing the Ribono Shel Olam into the picture.
What's the right look like without bringing Hashem into the picture?
Sorry?
What's the right look like without bringing Hashem into the picture?
Chochma, chesed, and netzach. You could do with any of these midas. You could, if you stop for a second and think about it, you could do this whole dance with every single midah. He's just explaining why we see that this is more the phenomenon, like what you brought up. Like, why do we see that it's usually these worlds are more to the left? Kabbalistically speaking, Zachar and Nekeva, they're more attracted to the Nekeva than they are to the Zachar. Our inyan isn't to say it's only Zachar, it's only Nekeva. Our inyan whole thing is a zivug, to bring down a toladah, to bring down a birth of something that we're all waiting for, which is the living in the era of Mashiach. You need, yeah.
Very good. I'm sorry. He wrote last. I don't know if you saw this last week, and I feel like it's a common theme about certain things that happened throughout history that changed around. So, for example, the
And
last
wonders you're talking about? Yeah.
It was really it was revolutionary because, like, first he wrote about 4 different things. But for example, the third, he said, is women learning Torah. I wouldn't have thought of that. And he said that is a major fetish, and like, I'm living with it personally, but like that is happening where like they're able to go ahead and enter into these worlds. I feel like it's in the cave entering the Zachar. And he said the next revolution, which is Kilu going to bring Asher and Mashiach, is like this, Hafatzah, I'm bringing this to the
non-Jews.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
His last sefer is a sefer called HaMahapecha HaRevi'it, the 4th Revolution, which speaks just about this. Yeah. You see, the inyan isn't that one overcomes the other. The inyan is that it's a merger and everything is harmonious. That's the inyan. But it all has this work that we're speaking about now can only come after you learn and implement the first 5 chapters that we did. Only once you uproot, when you completely uproot evil Tumah forces that are trying to kill humanity, you can't do any of these mergers of Smol and Yamin and Chochmah and Bina. When you have Amalek keep on popping his head out and also starting to become, representatives and influencers within the force of the left, and davar kazeh. That's why this avoda, we're speaking already in messianic terms, that this will be the complete merger, but he's explaining that until now, it's shocking that someone that we listen to, that the people that have so much influence in the world, in areas that they bichlal have no shaykhs to, yet what? They're able to draw ahada. Ahada means ohed, like to be admiration from people, even though it's bichlal not their thing. So he's explaining how this works on the Kabbalistic map. Let's go back inside. Rak le'achar, 3rd line from the bottom of the first paragraph. Rak le'achar zivug im hayesod hazachri mashpia shel chochmas haTorah. Only after it merges with the yesod, the zachar, who's the influencer, zachri hamashpia shel chochmas haTorah, nichlal hasmol bayamin, then left and right will merge, umitmatek al yado, and become sweetened through it. But this is a very important thing. Let's go back to Zachar and Nekeva. How did Hashem create humanity? Physiologically. Men are what? Mashpia or Mekabel. This is the tikkun of this door. Men is built as a mashpia. Women is built as a Mekabel. Do you know how progress has become what it is in this world? It's not their fault. It's because men stopped being men. Mashpia stopped being mashpia. The makabel still has to receive something. They're like, hey, if we're not getting it from the man, then we'll figure out a way to create it ourselves. And that's the beginning of the whole mishigas that our door is dealing with right now. So he's saying over here, only after a zivug with Zachar and Akeva, with the Yesod Zachri Mashpia of Chochmas Torah, only then Nichlal Hasmol Bayamin, then left will be included amongst the white, and it will become sweetened through it, meaning Chochmas Hamada will become included in Chochmas Torah. And what does it mean that Chochmas Hamada, the world sciences, will be sweetened by it? What do you think that means?
Because it's more over the word. Because dinim, because it's only physical.
It's all heavy. Through the Chochmas Torah, it'll become sweetened, and in the world of the Baal Shem Tov, Hamtaka, the sweetening is the final stage of what we're trying to do in this world, showing how all the wisdoms of the world fall together under Das Hashem not in a din way, in a sweet way that can be absorbed. Shlav Yesod Betikun Medina. So this shlav, the level that we're at with Yesod, in the fixing of the state, Amur lecholel ma'apecha ruchanit. It's supposed to cause a spiritual revolution. Ba chochmat hamada te'asheret haTorah, where the wisdom of sciences will authenticate the Torah. Te'amet ota minikudat mabata ha'atzmi. Science will come and say, the only truth of the world is Torah, and we only emanate from there. Now, there was a moment that I thought that we were actually there about 15 years ago, when scientists came up with what's called the God molecule. Do you remember this? Do you remember this? This was a fascinating stage in scientific development where they got to a certain molecule that they pashut could not explain. As if everything else they could explain, but that was like this one level. You have to check this out. They could not. It was about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. The Baruch, you probably know this, no? Yeah. Was it called the God molecule?
Yeah, it's a certain phenomenon. They can explain simultaneously. Yeah.
They couldn't explain any of this, and they come to that. So they come to that hanacha. He's saying that's the spiritual revolution will be when the world of science says, guys, everything we're saying is true, but it's only true because it's coming from the wisdom of the Torah. Only like that. He's saying that's the real spiritual revolution that's going to happen in the world. והתורה תאיר באורה ובחוכמתה האלוקים את המדעים כולם, and the Torah will illuminate with its light and wisdom, with its godly wisdom, all the sciences in the world. שיזכו בכך להתעלות ולהתקדש. That all the sciences and chokhmas of the world will merit to elevate and to become sanctified. אזי ניתן יהיה לקרוא עליהם את מאמר חז"ל, then you could say about them what Chazal said, חולין שנעשו על תארץ הקודש כקודש דמו. That means דומים ונחשבים כקודש, על אף שבאמת הם חולין. So you don't. It's if you have the footnotes in the back, but it's a very special thing that Rav Ginsburg does, where he talks about this quite often. That in Chagiga, basically, you know what? Okay, we'll try to do this as simple as possible. What's chulin? What's chulin? How would you define chulin? In the Gemara's terms, what's chulin? In the most simple, basic way. Chulin shenasu al taras hakodesh. Okay, let's go back. What's kodesh in the Gemara's terms over here? Hekdesh, yeah. What's that? You can't use it for anything else. What's chulin? What's chulin shenasu al taras hakodesh? You understand? Things that are kivyachol not designated. Hekdesh means this is designated just for something that can be used for sanctity. Okay, something's malin bakoide. Huh? Could be. Although chul usually means mundane. Chulin usually means that's another way of saying you could say about the world that maybe it's true. When it shows up and pops up, it doesn't look like Kodesh. You're not giving over Shnai Mikrecha Targum when you're speaking about, I don't know, give me any topic in the world of science. Anything. Throw out anything.
Gender.
He's choosing the gender, although there's a pasuk in Bereshit that says Zachar unekeva baraotam. But let's go with that for a second. When there's no merger between the two worlds, and I'm just speaking gender, Torah's gender. Look what's happening in the world when you're defining and explaining gender. All the mishagas that's going on with it. When there's a merger between these two worlds of Chochmas HaKodesh and Chochmas HaOlam, then what ends up happening is that Chulin shenasu al taras HaKodesh kekodesh damu. They become as if you're speaking Torah. Listen, the Haredi world, to a large extent, can't stand when anyone speaks about anything other than the way they understand, a blat. Because everything becomes Chulin. Don't talk to me about the aviation. Don't talk to me about, aklim. How do you say aklim? Climate. What's climate have to do with anything? I don't know. Climate seems pretty godly to me. Like who created climate, right? When we learn how to merge these two worlds, all these things that up until now seem like they don't have any shaykhus to Kodesh will become included within the world of Kodesh.
Isn't that what modern Orthodoxy was trying to accomplish to this?
What was missing? What is missing till today?
Well, I think the priorities.
Priorities?
You could say priorities, meaning
Nachon.
is it the modern Orthodox or the modern right thing?
I'll tell you a great story. In our shul in LA, when I was a kid, one Shabbos the Erev was down. I don't know, modern Orthodox community, v'chulei. No, usually I don't know how it was in your shuls growing up in the States, but there was a flag that would be up in the shul showing that the Eruv was up. If it wasn't up, the flag would be down. Do you think people checked before Shabbos to see if the flag was up or down? One Shabbos, something happened, and the flag was down. The Rav gets up the next morning in shul, he gave a drasha, and he was like king of modern Orthodoxy, but he said such a charif statement. He said, friends, I want you to remind you all, we're modern Orthodox, but we're also Orthodox. So what you said really resonates. Priority could be one of the things that really got messed up over here. 100%. Boundaries. But I believe the yesod of what Eli said. Pnimius. With Pnimius, boundaries become innate. With Pnimius, priority becomes clear.
Achrayut.
Yeah.
Responsibility.
Everything that's important comes up. I do think it was a clear. Till today, I think it's a clear attempt. But today, when you look at the growth of the world of innovation in Torah, right? What has the modern Orthodox world contributed in today's day and age to the growth of Chochmas HaTorah? What I don't know, I can't see.
Why you? A lot of things.
Pick up that book for a second. Yeah, what's that book?
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Even they're realizing that without the Pnimius, it's not gonna continue.
That's ironic because again, Torah Umada. But I guess it goes back to what I was saying about those books that try to explain the merger. It's more fitzoni.
Bidiyuk.
Whereas the Mir saying, I could use a little bit more of Mada.
Who's saying?
The Mir, with the Panovich.
Yeah, they're saying what?
Where are they saying, I could
No.
use a little
Mashiach will come and we'll
But
understand the
I
whole
think
thing.
It has to be, right? I mean, it can't just be, the left needs to get with it and get a little bit of Torah on their side to merge it. It's got to be the right, has to get some left in it almost.
According to this, yeah, that's why Rav Ginsburg is so worldly. He's not scared. He's not scared of the world. That's why I'm fascinated by him. I'm bichlal fascinated by Lubavitch. They're not scared of the world.
You don't know.
I love it. I love it. They're not scared of the world. And when you're not scared of the world, then you can go into these areas with Yira Shamayim and realize, oh, wait a second, this... But again, the luxury to do this type of avoda only happens after this is done. You understand? We're speaking here on a level that's Be'ez Hashem will be misasik in with nachas and yishavadas. That's only going to happen much later. We still have tons of things that we still have to mamash uproot in its core, like the whole judicial system and all other things that are keeping Ishmaelites and Amalekites with the chutzpah that they have to still lift their heads up here. Lo ya'aleh aladat. Like we're talking about ichud torah umada. Do you know that the Hamas, Yimach Shalom, put out a video yesterday that they located they located the location and the home and all the family members of the person that actually took out Sinwar, right? The ones that our person here sent the coordinates to through his drone. So this guy who lives in Lod, he's now in the covenant of the Hamas, and they showed aerial pictures. They know where his house is, his family. They called him. They should. We're actually still there. And again, what we're speaking about here is once that's done. You can't go to this stuff unless the Shorashim are, uprooted.
People are doing it outside of Eretz Yisrael because they have the luxury to go on this journey.
What are they doing?
They claim now.
Okay, right. Right.
Rav Waiwai's words is, I can't get him out.
No. We're going back to that. We're going back to Rav Waiwai.
It's hard. It's like,
We're going back to Waiwai.
go back, but you bring this up.
Yeah. I can't go there now.
We're not going.
I can't go there now.
We're not going.
Yeah, we're not going.
Not going.
We're just
Take all
we're just mentioning that we're not going.
Broad strokes, okay? You're painting with a lot of strokes.
Let's finish with this last paragraph. I love you. No, he knows me. He knows that that's my, No, we're not going there now. Nachzor al harishonot. Let's go back to basics. Back to the lecture at hand. Le'el be'inyan sfiras hadas. When it comes to the sphere of das, we explained hitba'er she'ikrona avdala, the principle of separation. Hatzad hasmali shebadat, the left side of the dat, hu hamechaven et chameshet hashlavim harishonim shel malach hatikun. The left orchestrates the first 5 phases of tikkun. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, and Hod. Ata, but now, La'achar she'anu megi'im l'shlav hashishi, but now we're getting to the 6th level, which is Yesod. Now the right side of that, Ha'ikaron ha'mechaber u'mezaveg, now the merging instrument here begins to lehovil et ha'ma'alach. It begins to lead us over here. So, I wish that we were in a state where we could be like, hey, Chevra, listen, today's avoda is yesod. It's still not. It's not. It's not. We still have a country that's not there yet. We're not there yet. We still need the first 5 shlavim of the left side of the brains of dat, how it orchestrates the tikkun, and we have to go over this over and over again. But just understand, the point isn't to reach a place that we eradicate everything in the world, and all we're left with is that every Jew will be satisfied sitting with the Shulchan Aruch. Not only will that never be, that's not meant to be. What's meant to be is to reveal godliness in combs, in paint, in light bulbs, in everything. And that happens through the sphere of Yesod. And Be'ez Hashem, we'll continue this next week. All right? We'll continue this next week.
Level of it that we can do, and then there's a communal and national, but at least individually we can at least aspire.
Not b'shas melchama. In my humble opinion.
I have no use for that, so I understand.
Not b'shas melchama. All right, brothers.